Hey guys, this is Lorenz of the Ketones and Coffee podcast. Make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any of this great content. Our guest today has been on a ketogenic lifestyle for more than 2 years now and has since lost over 245 pounds. Her incredible journey is also on Instagram, where she motivates and shares her weight loss story. I'm so honored to be joined by Dolly, also known as Keto_Dolly_Doll. Dolly, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. It's definitely a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. It's my pleasure as well because, when I asked you to come on, share your story, you're always been willing to share your story. I looked up your story on Instagram, and you've always been so honest and so open with sharing your story. So I thought I would reach out and see if you want to share your story with our listeners today. And I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that we're here today and doing that right now.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Awesome. So you've been on the keto diet for 2 years and you've lost over 245 pounds. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It must be such an accomplishment for you and for anyone that's listening. For 2 years is such a short time, and we'll get into that story a little bit. And this is all natural, changing your lifestyle, just changing your diet and the way you eat.
Yes, correct. I have to say probably my heaviest was I was like 502. That was after I gave birth to my son. And it caused a lot of different things, a lot of mental changes I wanted to make, and physical too, just because I knew I was bringing someone else in this world. And how selfish of me to, not put food before him. So I knew that was a relationship that I needed to break and take control of, because I want to be able to run after my son and chase him. He's a boy. He's so active. So that was the start of it, definitely.
That's amazing. Before we get to your journey, I'd like for everyone to follow Dolly on Instagram. If you are on Instagram, if you are just starting off on your journey and looking for a quick burst of motivation, definitely give her a follow. We'll link her Instagram in the description. You turn things around pretty quickly, and I was looking at your page. You're spreading positivity. Props for being so open and doing that and telling people like it is. I was just going through some of your posts, and I love that you're honest and openness in your vulnerability in times that is hard, because it is hard. It's not always going to be easy. Now we talk to our if you're listening right now and thinking that what for 2 years that what Dolly has gone through, I'm sure she's gonna say it's not always easy, right? You have to see it as a journey, and you talk a lot about seeing it as a journey as well, Dolly.
Yes.
And for anyone in the same journey as you had a post about consistency in times when we lack motivation. I want to ask you this, where you said even if you are not where you want to be, but you're definitely not where you used to be. I love that. Can you talk a little bit about that? And because oftentimes we forget how far we've come. For anyone that is struggling right now, that are on the same journey, maybe they're getting started and they are feeling these emotions. Can you speak more on what that meant for you?
Yes, definitely. I have to say that I probably didn't start really giving myself praise until probably the beginning of this year, which this year marks my third year of being keto. I worked very hard, and I never gave myself any props. I never gave myself, any grace. I was always so hard on me. And I know that is a struggle with so many people. We get down and we forget about how far we have come. No day is perfect. It's never going to be perfect. I still have so many ups and downs, losing 245 pounds. And a lot of it is due to mentally changing your mindset, mentally seeing the greatness inside of yourself, because you can lose all the weight in the world. But if you don't see who you are as a person and you don't value yourself as a person, you're never going to be able to give yourself that gratification that you deserve for all the hard work that you're putting in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely one of my things. That's one thing I love to share on my page. I love to motivate people just to know that we're all the same. Like, we all start somewhere, we all fall short, we all going to have victories. But as long as you keep trying, like, you're never failing because you're never giving up.
Mm,
And that's the most important part, I feel, in any aspect of
mm,
life.
absolutely, because it's so powerful what you said there, because all of us go through those tough times, and it's an everyday practice too, like you said. It's ups and downs, and we forget how far we've come. Like, even though you had a recent win yesterday, it's easy to forget the following day, because it's a new journey. Every day is a new journey. New struggles come in, and in those times, it's easy to forget because we're so focused on that moment when we feel doubt. Um, Man, it's. I think for me, it's recognizing that it isn't permanent, and everything we go through just passes in our lives. And so, being strong in these moments, like what you're doing is so great with your page and what you talk about. It's what makes the journey worth it. And let's remember that your turbulent times makes us stronger. I'd like to get a context on how it all started for you, because we all come across keto in different times, in different stages of our lives, and we come from different backgrounds. And I'd like to get a context for our listeners, that take us back to that time, maybe the earliest you can remember, that contributed to your relationship with food before keto. Because I believe that if you're sometimes keto come to us when we're desperate. Like, for me, speaking from experience, when you become desperate, because that's when you are curious and looking for other alternative to healing. What was it for you growing up? As far back as you want to take it, about what you've learned about your relationship with food and leading up to keto.
Okay. So definitely I can
Mm,
remember, as far as back as when I was little. Like, I've always been the big girl. I've always been
mm,
the plus size girl for as long as I can remember. Like, even back, I remember I was just sharing this with somebody else recently, that I remember when I was graduating from sixth grade, I was like already 200 pounds, like 250 pounds, and it didn't, trigger to me then like it does now, after mentally figuring out
mm,
things. But definitely a cause of my weight gain has always been emotional. I definitely had a lot of
mm,
emotional trauma that I really had to dig deep inside, go to therapy. And as I began to go through therapy, I started to understand my emotions and my relationship with food, and how much food really has been my companion through life. It's the thing that I go to when things aren't always working out right.
mm,
And, ultimately, as individuals, we eat food for everything. We eat food when someone passes away, when someone gets married, family reunions. Like, food is our
mm,
comfort. So I definitely realized as I got older that that was my emotional latch that I hung on to. That was the one thing that I knew I could always turn to, and I always knew that it would always be there for me in return, which is very deep. That's a deep understanding and a deep conversation that you have to have with yourself. Fast forwarding through my years, I've always been very active. I was the big girl, but I was always like the star big girl. I was a cheerleader. I did track, I
mm,
played basketball, all of those good things. But
mm,
as I got older, my confidence definitely lessened. As I became an adult, I started shying back. I think I started to just worry more about what people thought of me and what people would think about me. And then getting to the point to I had my son, and it was a lot of emotions when I had my child. And I remember I went to the doctor for my follow-up visit, and I got on a scale, and it was like 502 pounds. And I was like, oh my God. Like, all I kept thinking was like, I'm less than 500 pounds away from 1,000 pounds. Like, and that just kind of resonated in me. Like, and my visit wasn't even concerning about my weight, but I just remember I was so sad. I just felt so defeated. I was so disappointed. And then at the same time, I was like, and here I am, I'm bringing a child in this world. And, my health could be the reason that I leave him here by
Mm.
himself. And I definitely didn't want that. I didn't want that to happen. So I remember I left and I was in the car. I had actually just started the car. I was looking at Instagram, and a lady's page popped off. Her name was Black Keto Girl. And I was like, oh, this looks interesting. So I started looking through her page, and she started talking about keto and different things. And, I was like, oh, I'm going to bookmark this because when I get home, I'm going to really check it out. The one thing that captured my
Mm.
attention was that, like, she was eating regular food. Like, I didn't see a lot of, like, vegetables and things that I don't really like. So I was like, let me check her out. So I ended up going to her page. I did a little bit more research. I did some research about keto and what it was. And I have seen that it was like a low carb diet, with high fats. And I seen you eat meat. So I was like, okay, let me give this a try. So I signed up for one of her classes. And she coached me. I lost about
Mm.
15 pounds in my first month with her. And I think that was just like the motivation that I needed to be like, I could do this. So
Mm.
after I left her group, that's when I started researching
Mm.
it for myself, finding different ideas, different things. And I was very strict keto for a very long time, a really long time. And then I just kind of got bored with it. And I was like, I wonder if I can make this work for me, how I like to eat and how I like to live my life. And basically, that's what I did. And that's why I feel I have been very successful on my journey, is because I have made it into my lifestyle and it fits my life perfectly.
Mm. Wow. When you talked about, having that emotional um, relationship with food growing up, and then you realizing once you um, have your child, that gave you that realization that it's not about you anymore. It's about, you know helping your son um, survive, and he's not going to survive if your health is failing.
Yeah.
And that's just beautiful. And your transformation has been such an inspiration for many. Just, from the outside looking in, 2 years is such a quick turnaround from and you had to abstain. How did you ease yourself into keto? Like, what would you tell people that would help them to ease themselves into it?
When I first started keto, it was so fresh. So there was like, I couldn't like work
Mm-hmm.
my way into it now. Keto has evolved tremendously
Mm-hmm.
over these past couple of years. Like,
Yeah.
things that we have available now, we never had that when I first started. So like the keto breads, the keto ice cream, the low carb tortilla, like we had
Yes.
none of
Yes.
that. So when I first started, it was just like very, cold turkey for me. Giving up breads and pastas was probably one of the hardest things, in sweets because I love sweets.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started, we didn't have any keto treats. Like there was nothing. So I just
Mm-hmm.
went cold turkey. Like, I just felt like I said, I'm going to give it 30 days because I had signed up for a 30-day session. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm just going to try it. And if it doesn't work, then,
Mm-hmm.
back to the drawing board. But I have to give it 30 days and be fully committed to
Mm-hmm.
it. Now going into somebody who's currently starting, there are so many different options available for you to ease your way
Mm-hmm.
into keto. I tell people all the time, just start a little bit at a time. Just start little bit. Start by maybe sticking to a certain amount of carbs a day, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and then kind of working your way up to where you get your macros calculated. And then they let you know exactly how much fats you should have, how much carbs you should have, how much
Mm-hmm.
protein you should have per day. I do think like when you take on too much at one time, it can definitely become overwhelming, especially for
Mm-hmm.
someone who doesn't have
Yeah.
a good relationship with food or who doesn't understand how their body works with certain foods, which is something you also learn through keto. You learn the foods that are good for you. You learn the foods that are bad for you. You'll see the foods that'll make the scale go up for you. You'll see the foods that'll help the scale go down for you. Knowing your body
Mm-hmm.
and what works for you is definitely the key. So I would definitely say start off slow. You can also start by removing things like if you eat chips all the time, take those away. Try and eat a more
Mm-hmm.
healthier version of a chip. I think oftentimes we don't succeed because we try to do everything all at once, and the body doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
I read a book, and it basically was talking about habits, and it says it takes 21 days to
Hmm.
form a habit. So you have to give yourself at least 21
Hmm.
days to try something to see if it's
Yeah.
actually really working for you.
What was the goal for you in the beginning, and when did you realize that this can be a lifestyle for you? Did you think that this would be something that you'll join, a program that you will join that would you'll be on it for a little bit, but you'll eventually get off it? Is that
Yeah.
what was the goal in the beginning, and then when did you realize that it will be a lifestyle for you?
So the goal in the beginning was definitely, I was just like, I want to be under 500 pounds. Like seeing that number was a trigger for me. And even now, being down
Hmm.
245 pounds, I still have certain numbers that trigger me. So like I go up and down like everybody
Hmm.
else. When I see 250 on the scale, I'm like, oh no, get it together, Dolly. Like you got to cut out
Hmm.
all the extra stuff. You got to stop
Hmm.
having fun. Like that was the trigger for me. So when I first signed up for the class, my goal was 10 pounds because I just knew 10 pounds would put me under that 500-pound mark.
Hmm.
And that's all I wanted. So I got 5 pounds more. So I lost 15 pounds. And then I said, well, I think I kind of got the concept of it. So maybe I don't need to be in a group anymore. Let me see if I can do this by myself. And so that's when I started on a
Hmm.
journey by myself. I found Instagram. And there's
Hmm.
so many people in the keto community. Like I had no idea that many people were doing keto at the time. And it was such a major,
Yeah.
weight loss tool. And so I was like, I think I could do this,
Yes.
myself. So I created my page and I was like, I can
Hmm.
hold myself accountable. I can post food, I can post recipes and different things like that. And so originally I was like, I'll do this till I hit 50 pounds. And then I ended up hitting 50 pounds lost. I want to say probably like the
Hmm.
first 4 months. And then I hit
Hmm.
6 months. And then before I knew it, I was like, I want to hit 125 pounds in 1 year. And
Hmm.
literally, I did it on December 24th. I weighed in at 125 pounds lighter, and I couldn't believe it. And I think that was a game changer for me. I think
Hmm.
I realized that this is something that I can make my lifestyle. Um, and I also felt too like I
Hmm.
needed to be a little bit more open because on the internet, you see what we want you to see. We don't let you see the downfalls. Like, so I wouldn't, people didn't really see my weight gains and stuff until the second year of keto that I
Hmm.
started into my year because, I had these little fun calendars and I would post every month, like my weight going down, 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 all the good stuff. But they didn't see the
Yeah.
fluctuation and how it went up and down and up and down and up and
Hmm.
down. But definitely, I knew
Hmm.
once I hit that 125, like that this was something I could do forever.
Hmm. Did you? I know you talked about just you shared that you were only talking about when your weight was going down, and you've never talked about when your weight was going up. Why why did you want to share that that part of it?
I
That it's not always smooth sailing.
I think because it just needed to be transparent. I think back when I first
Mm-hmm.
started, it was more so like only showing the good in keto, like only showing that you're losing weight, only showing that you're
Mm-hmm.
doing this, only showing that you're doing
Yeah.
that. Um, but there was so much more to it. And I think my second year around, I just felt like I have a lot of people. By this time, I had like probably about, 900 people following me. It's a little bit higher now, but I was like, at this point, I think I need to just be a little bit more transparent. And honestly, I was comfortable. I was way more comfortable within
Mm-hmm.
myself. And I didn't feel bad. Like, cause I used to feel bad when I lost that 125. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
got on a scale one week and I gained 5 pounds, like it would really bring me down. Like it would have me going into these
Mm.
panics and trying to figure out, well, maybe I need to walk an extra mile. Maybe I need to cut
Yeah.
back on this. Maybe I need to do a 24-hour fast. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
like very
Mm-hmm.
triggering for me seeing those numbers on the scale. And I think being open the second year around kind of allowed me just to be free, like to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I noticed is that people tend to like that more because nobody wants to go to,
Mm.
to a page and feel like, dang, you just
Yeah.
perfect. Like, what can I, like, you make no mistakes. So what
Yes.
can I learn from you? And I found out like my second year
Mm.
around, like people really enjoyed it. Like they were like, thank you for being transparent. Thank you for showing that you're gaining weight. Thank you for showing that you're losing weight,
Mm.
and then it
Mm.
became even deeper and it became like mental. I would share people like, how I was feeling, how my day was going. I would
Mm.
share like, different things that I was going through. And
Yeah.
honestly, when you are yourself, it makes the process so much easier because you don't
Mm.
have to pretend to be nobody else. You're just sharing your day to day life
Yeah.
and hoping to inspire. And what's shocking to me
Mm.
is you never really know how many people are going through the exact same thing.
Mm. Yes. Yeah, and like you said, you mentioned that when you started, Instagram really held you accountable when you're getting started, posting your workouts, posting your food on Instagram, and just posting your progress. And when Instagram, that community, I know the keto community is growing
Yeah.
minute by minute, and people are finding out about keto, and what its benefits are. And if we only show them, the new people, if we only show them the good part of it, that's why I love your page. And when I was looking through it, your openness and your honesty is so refreshing. um and that's, I have no doubt why people are resonating with your story, because you show both sides of it. It's not always going to be smooth sailing. There are going to be times that you're going to be vulnerable to your triggers, those foods. You're going to have pitfalls, and if you don't show those pitfalls, you're not going to show them how you bounce back to that, from that, right? And that's what I want to ask you. um, what have you learned from your experience, that when you are on in those moments, what do you tell yourself so that you can bounce back from that stronger?
For me, it's probably my saying, and if you read or you've been on
Mm.
my page, I've posted so much lately, but it's definitely when you don't feel motivated, stay consistent.
Mm.
For me, that's probably the
Mm.
one thing that keeps me going no matter what. And I actually use that quote to everything, like to my job, with my son, him school, dabbling into sports and different things like that.
Mm.
But most of all for myself, like I don't want to work out every day. Like people be like, you just seem so happy, like you love working out. And I'll be like, yeah, I'll be waking up. Like they see me in the car, like drinking my energy drink or my protein coffee, like I'm at the gym. I don't want to go in here, but guess what? I'm here and we're going to make it count, make it count
Yeah.
because you're not
Yeah.
always going to feel motivated. Like I'm telling you, and we all know this, like you are not always going to feel motivated, but if you stay consistent enough,
Mm.
eventually you'll become motivated again because
Mm.
consistency gives you results. And as humans, we like to
Mm.
see results, and the results will help you to turn into becoming
Mm.
motivated, and then you
Mm.
become motivated. And
Yeah.
when you hit that same cycle
Mm.
again and you feeling down, just remember, if I stay consistent, eventually I'll become motivated again and I'll be okay ultimately
Mm.
at the end.
Yeah, I always say this too. I love that. I love that saying. If you can't stay motivated, stay consistent. It's a hard. Starting is hard. To be consistent is even harder. and
Yes.
and when you apply that with anything, people will have ups and downs. Our motivation we had in the beginning may dwindle or gone totally, but if you stay consistent, just doing, showing up every single day, it's gonna show results eventually. um it's so easy to forget the reasons why we do it, right? In those moments that you need to go to the gym, you need to go to the gym. You've been going to the gym for 10 days straight, and if you miss one, right, it's not gonna boast well for your confidence. So
Yeah.
and if you do miss one, you will be so hard on ourselves that we won't follow through anymore. How do you follow through? Let's say, because it happens to me all the time, right? I would I'll commit to something, but when I would miss one day, it would be so I would be so miserable. I wouldn't do it again. Like what do you
Yeah.
do? I know you talked about being consistent, but how do you show up again after you miss a day of workout? How do you keep consistent and just reminding yourself that, okay, it may not show in the scale, but it is doing something else to your body that makes you, because movement does something else to your body, not just weight loss. Because people
Yes.
want that instant gratification that if you don't lose the weight, then it must be a waste of time, right? So what do we tell people that if you're too focused with the scale, and when you do work out, you have to understand that it's not an instant thing, right?
Definitely.
What do you tell yourself? Hmm.
When it comes to as far as like if I miss a day or if I do something and it's not how I planned. I remember a long time ago somebody used to tell me like life is like a puzzle. Every day you get a new piece to the puzzle. And
Mm,
I actually used that when I started this weight loss journey. I only took it one day at a time. I never took it as like, oh, I have this much time, or oh, I have one day to do the best that I can
mm,
just for that one day. Because when you start thinking too far ahead, you kind of get lost because then you start thinking of everything that could happen in between. And when you give yourself 24 hours, you just got 24 hours. You got a whole schedule. And in that 24 hours, you just want to make sure you accomplish what it is that you need to accomplish. So if I don't
mm,
accomplish something that one day, I'm like, okay, I didn't do it. I didn't do it yesterday. But today, I'm gonna do it today because yesterday that was a different puzzle
mm,
piece, and I can't keep having these puzzle pieces that I'm not doing nothing with every single day.
mm.
So I think that's what works
Why
for
don't
me.
we?
Like, go ahead.
Mhm. Yeah. No, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry for cutting you
Oh
off.
yeah, just you can't stay stuck. I think that's huge for people. Is
Mm,
like we get defeated. Well, I messed up already, so there's no point. Or I did this, so
mm,
there's no point. And that's why I say weight loss is such a mental change that has to happen.
mm,
Because when you change your mindset, your body kind of just follows on its own. Your body has a weird way of working. And like, I think I work out so much that when I don't work out or when I take rest days, like my body just doesn't feel right. It doesn't
mm,
feel the same.
mm.
Definitely like if I've injured myself, just like when you injure yourself and you're out, you go through therapy, like you got to start all over again and start all over again and start all over again. But the
That's
purpose
right.
is that as long as you
That's
keep
right.
starting over, like again, you're never staying stuck and you're never giving up. So what's most important is if you got to start
Mm,
over every week, guess what? Start over every Monday because at least you're not staying stuck. At
mm,
least you're trying. And maybe on Monday, you normally make it 2 days. Let's say I'm gonna make it to Thursday. I'm gonna give 4 days
mm,
this week, and then keep shooting for four until you
mm,
hit four, and then keep trying, and then you move to five, and then you move to six, and then you
mm,
move to seven, and then before you know it, it's a habit, and
mm,
and you're where you want to be.
mm. Every day we get a puzzle piece. I love that. I love that. And you show up, take it day by day. I love that you said that. It's because when you do have to start over, if you do miss a few, if you commit to working out and then if you did injure yourself, that sometimes becomes a huge um, uphill to climb again because you've lost because you're thinking you've lost everything that you've done in the gym, all those times you've missed. You have to start over again, and that becomes that it's just hard to recover from that. But when you said that, it's if you do have to start over again, you, then do it because it's just sorry, can you repeat that words again that you said when you have to start over?
Yeah, I said if you have to keep trying over and over again, like when you have to start over, just keep
Hmm.
doing it because as long as you're trying, you're actually never failing
Hmm.
because you're
As
still
long,
trying. You're
as
still
long as you're
trying. You're
trying.
still taking whatever it can to just be
Mm,
a better person, to get to the next step. And that's all
mm,
you got to do is just keep trying because
mm,
as long as you're trying, then you'll never fail and you will never stay stuck. And I think that's what's most
mm,
important is that you don't ever want to stay stuck. And the way that you don't stay stuck is by you keep trying it for yourself. You keep trying it. You keep doing it. You keep doing it.
Mm, love it. Could you have ever imagined this, that you've, because you talked about having that relationship with food all of those years, and now after a few years on just being consistent with, you know, your workouts, your food, you've lost 245 pounds. Could you have ever imagined just starting this journey?
Um, I can't imagine. Like sometimes it's still surreal for me. Like when people say body
Mm,
dysmorphia, like it's surreal for me. I
yeah.
just recently made a post that I'm in a large. I never in a million years thought that I would be a large. Like I never in a million
Mm,
years thought I could just go to a regular store like Walmart and
mm,
pick up something real fast. I've been heavy my whole life. And that's the problem. We never imagine ourselves getting to the finish line. Um, but all it takes is
mm,
just starting it. Like all it took was for me to just start. And look where I am now, 2 years later. And all I did
mm,
was just make the conscious decision to start. And when things
mm,
got hard, I just made the same conscious decision to just not stay stuck and to
mm,
keep trying. Because you're going to have so
mm,
many ups and downs on this journey. Like the only way to move, the only way to be successful is to keep moving.
mm. And you, how often do you work out in a week?
Currently I work out probably between 5 to 6 times a week.
Mm.
Uh,
Did you? Because now you talk about creating time for that, right? And you talked
yes.
about when you started keto. Did you start exercising right away, or when did you start exercising?
So when I first started keto, I did not. The only exercise that I did was
Mm-hmm.
walking. And then
Mm-hmm.
I got the courage to get a gym membership, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I started out with
Mm-hmm.
Zumba. Then my hairstylist, she was like, you love to dance. I think you should take one of my clients' class. And it was called Commit Dance Fitness. And that literally changed my life. People are always like, how
Mm,
do you work out so much? But it's because I honestly enjoy doing it. Like it is a hit format style.
mm,
And literally it's an hour of nonstop hit workouts from dancing and cardio. They make the environment fun. We're always yelling, hey,
mm,
and this and doing different things. And it's really like a party for an hour. And when I tell you I have done
mm,
that every day since, even during COVID, literally we were viral. We were doing it on like Band or YouTube, different things like that. But I've literally done that ever since. I was about, I want
mm,
to say I was probably like about 450 pounds when I started doing that. But it allowed me to do it at my own pace, at my own
mm,
level. In the beginning, I stayed in the back of the class, minding my business because, I was very self-conscious,
mm,
but I always got a good workout. I got a good calorie burn. And then from there, I started doing that. But walking and doing those classes definitely played a huge part. When I
mm,
was heavier, I couldn't do everything in the classes. So walking was always like my feeling. I would, make sure I walked every day. Just
mm.
moving 30 minutes a day does so much for your body.
You must be getting a lot of questions about what you've been doing, and what have you been telling them about your story?
People always ask me all the time, like, what do you do? And I just tell them, I eat what I like. And I work
Mm-hmm.
out what I like. Like what I do is fun. I think when you try to force
Mm-hmm.
yourself to do something that doesn't excite you, it's not fun. Like, could I go
Mm,
to the
yeah.
gym and walk on a treadmill for 4 hours? Absolutely not. Like I would be bored out of my
Mm-hmm.
mind. I couldn't do it. Physically, could I do it?
Yeah.
Yes, but would I enjoy it? Absolutely not. Even
Yeah.
now when I go walk on the
Yeah.
treadmill just to walk, it's like I set goals for myself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how fast can I walk
Mm,
these 2 miles?
mm,
Like I have to have something that
mm-hmm.
motivates me. Um, which is why I take classes. I tell people all the time, like, find something that you love. I love to dance. So I take any dance class that there is.
Mm,
I take extreme hip hop step. I take commit dance fitness. I do Zumba. And I wanted to start lifting weights because I've lost a lot of weight and I wanted to start toning my body out. You know, I have a lot of loose skin and I'm like, I just want to kind of
mm,
tone out. So I just recently introduced myself to Body
mm,
Pump because I knew it was something that would keep me engaged. Like it was something that can hold my attention. Because me out there just trying to lift a bunch of weights, I probably hurt myself and then I'll be out of the gym, then I'll be mad. So yeah, I definitely say you have to find
mm,
something that works for you. What do you like? What makes you feel comfortable?
mm,
What makes you feel at peace? For some people, it's like, Dolly,
mm,
I really enjoy walking on the beach. Absolutely. Go walk on the beach.
mm,
If that what makes you happy, then that's what you do. Because you have to do something that you like in order
mm.
to stay consistent. If you don't like it, believe
Mhm.
me, you're just going to be like, "Nah, I'm not doing this no more. I don't like it."
Dolly, you have the formula because if you do, you have to find you have to find sustainability in everything that you do, right? You can't just go jump into a diet knowing that you'll be on it for a few days. Um, a diet that you've been on before that you knew that wasn't sustainable for you, and you keep doing the same things. Obviously, you're not gonna succeed, or you're not gonna be able to sustain that.
Yeah,
Comes with
absolutely.
that also, in relation to what you're saying is, if you love, Zumba, you love dancing, and you choose to go on the treadmill instead, then obviously nobody likes treadmill, by the way, to walk on a treadmill. But
All right.
nobody does. But yeah, do something you love. Your life, this is your lifestyle. You don't need to do something that you don't like to do, right? Love what you're doing. Love everything that you stand for, with with the rapid weight loss, with the advocacy on Instagram, sharing your story, in such a short period of time. Super inspiring to me and to anyone that's listening, and that would like to follow your journey. Please follow Dolly. I would link everything down below so you can check her out. Her IG, we'll link it everything on the description, where she shares her progress and motivation. Dolly, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your
Oh, you're
story. I
so
really appreciate
welcome.
you.
Definitely
You,
an
you know,
honor.
we're
I am pleased. I'm definitely, it's an honor. It's an honor that you chose little old me when you reached out to me. I was like, oh my God, I've never been asked to do one of these. Yes, I'm so excited.